now in his word, soul, ruminating, joyed that blessed spirit, and I fed on mine, tempting the sweet with bitter. She meanwhile, who led me unto God, admonished, muse on other thoughts, bethink thee, that near him I dwell, who recompenseth every wrong. At the sweet sounds of comfort straight I turned, and, in the saintly eyes what love was seen, I leave in silence here, nor through distrust of my words only, but that to such bliss the mind remounts not without aid. Thus much yet may I speak, that, as I gazed on her, affection found no room for other wish. While the everlasting pleasure, that did full on Beatrice shine, with second view from her fair countenance my gladdened soul contented, vanquishing me with a beam of her soft smile, she spake, turn thee, and list. These eyes are not thy only paradise. As here we sometimes in the looks may see affection marked, when that its sway hath ta'en the spirit holy, thus the hallowed light, to whom I turned, flashing, bewrayed its will to talk yet further with me, and began, on this fifth lodgment of the tree, whose life is from its top, whose fruit is ever fair and leaf unwithering, blessed spirits abide, that were below, ere they arrived in heaven, so mighty in renown, as every muse might grace her triumph with them. On the horns look therefore of the cross, he, whom I name, shall there enact, as doth in summer cloud its nimble fire. Along the cross I saw, at the repeated name of Joshua, a splendor gliding, nor, the word was said, ere it was done, then, at the naming saw of the great Maccabee, another move with whirling speed, and gladness was the scourge unto that top. The next for Charlemagne and for the peer Orlando, to my gaze pursued, intently, as the eye pursues a falcon flying. Last, along the cross, William, and Renard, and Duke Godfrey drew my ken, and Robert Guiscard. And the soul, who spake with me among the other lights did move away, and mix, and with the choir of heathen ly songsters proved his tuneful skill. To Beatrice on my right ell bent, looking for intimation or by word or act, what next behoved, and did descry such mere effulgence in her eyes, such joy, it passed all former wont. And, as by sense of new delight, the man, who perseveres in good deeds doth perceive from day to day his virtue growing, I e'en thus perceived of my ascent, together with the heathen the circuit widened, noting the increase of beauty in that wonder. Like the change in a brief moment on some maiden's cheek, which from its fairness doth discharge the weight of pudency, that stained it, such in her, and to mine eyes so sudden was the change, through silvery whiteness of that temperate star, whose sixth orb now enfolded us. I saw, within that jovial cresset, the clear sparks of love, that reigned there, fashioned to my view our language. And as birds, from river banks arisen, now in round, now lengthened troop, array them in their flight, greeting, as seems, their new-found pastures, so, within the lights, the saintly creatures flying, sang, and made now D and now I and now L a figured ith air. First, singing, to their notes they amovied, then one becoming of these signs, a little while did rest them, and were mute. O nymph divine of Pegasion race! Whose souls, which thou insperst, makest glorious and long-lived, as they cities and realms by thee. Thou with thyself inform me, that I may set forth the shapes, as fancy doth present them. Be thy power displayed in this brief song. The characters, vocal and consonant, were fivefold 7. In order each, as they appeared, I marked. Diligite justitium, the first, both verb and noun all blazoned, and the extreme conjudicatus terram. In the M. Of the fifth word they held their station, making the star seem silver streaked with gold. And on the summit of the M. I saw descending other lights, that rested there, singing, methinks, their bliss and primal good. Then, as at shaking of a lighted brand, sparkles innumerable on all sides rise scattered, source of augury to th unwise, thus more than 1,000 twinkling lustres hence seemed reascending, and a higher pitch some mounting, and some less, e'en as the sun, which kindleth them, decreed. And when each one had settled in his place, the head and neck then saw I of an eagle, lively graved in that streaky fire. Who painteth there, hath none to guide him, of himself he guides, and every line and texture of the nest doth own from him the virtue, fashions it. The other bright beatitude, that seemed erewhile, with lilied crowning, while content to over-canopy the movied forth, following gently the impress of the bird. Sweet star! What glorious and thick-studded gems declared to me our justice on the earth to be the effluence of that heaven, which thou, thyself a costly jewel dost inlay. Therefore I pray the sovereign mind, from whom thy motion and thy virtue are begun, that he would look from whence the fog doth rise, to vitiate thy beam, so that once more he may put forth his hand gainst such as drive their traffic in that sanctuary, whose walls with miracles and martyrdoms were built. Ye host of heaven, whose glory I survey, lo, beg ye grace for those that are on earth all after ill example gone astray. War once had for its instrument the sword, but now tea is made, taking the bread away which the good Father locks from none. And thou, that writes but to cancel, think that they, who for the vineyard, which thou wastest, died, Peter and Paul live yet, and mark thy doings. Thou hast good cause to cry, my heart so cleaves to him, that lived in solitude remote, and from the wilds was dragged to martyrdom. I wist not of the fisherman nor Paul.